Coming up on this episode.
Yeah, let him in.
Okay.
Give me one reason you think we live on a ball. Just one. Okay? It's okay to change your mind based on new information, guys. Of course, we live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite vacuum at speeds that are incomprehensible. I mean, that only makes sense.
It does to me.
As we go, because you guys are globers, sorry, no offense, you do have some crazy beliefs.
It takes that long for the light to get to us.
Cool story, bro.
They both claim, at least, to have space agencies, and they're two countries that, let's just say, don't like each other. For those to cooperate on this sort of scale is unprecedented.
You know, NASA says that Venus is almost the same size as Earth. I say Venus is the size of a basketball. Prove me wrong.
This is a lot to process.
Yeah, no, like I say,
the globe has a huge advantage over flat Earth. It doesn't take any processing. You could just believe it.
I don't even think humans have the capacity to actually cooperate on this sort of scale.
Well,
personally.
maybe they're not humans.
Okay.
That's it.
You are the
Shirt
one.
is gone. I owe you a new sweatshirt.
You're the one.
It's the architect. APMA, how are we doing today? We have something very, very special for you today. We have a guest from the other side of the, dare I say it, globe, David. We'll have to wait and see. We have David Weiss. He is a world-renowned flat earther. We thought, as you guys know, we've gone into many conspiracies on this podcast. We love our conspiracies. But we thought we'll get the real deal on today to explain in great detail why the Earth is flat. So, David, I think the best place to start, really, is about you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, first, I'm not on the other side of the globe. I'm across the plane. So
Across the plane.
Across the world. I'm just a normal guy. Grew up on the East Coast in America. I, just living the American dream. Worked for corporate America. Started my own company. All is going well. I was doing a podcast on the side for fun where we were looking into deceptions of the world. Dare I say conspiracies, because people will immediately put theory after that. And in the third year of the podcast, people started sending me, hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth? And like any right-thinking person, I would delete those emails. And then when they kept coming, I would ban them from our social media for being so stupid. And I wouldn't even click on any links that anyone sent me because it's ridiculous, right? Crazy.
Right.
Crazy. Of course, we live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite vacuum at speeds that are incomprehensible. I mean, that only makes sense.
It does to me.
So then I was forced to look. And I went in with the purpose not to find the truth, but to debunk flat Earth and prove the globe. And that's how you become a glober. No offense, guys.
None taken. So that's interesting that you went into it skeptical. You went into it to debunk, because then I mean, no offense at all, but in that light, then you went into it with a level head. You
Actually,
didn't go in
biased. I went into it not looking for the truth. I went into it to prove it wrong.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
of course it's wrong. Flat Earth, we've known for 2,000 years. Well, everything that we think we know is a lie. It's unreal. So today I'm going to say some crazy stuff. And I'm also going to say some stuff where you're going to go, huh, that makes sense. And what you'll realize is the crazy stuff is when I'm trying to explain the heliocentric model. And the stuff that makes sense should be like, huh, that really makes a lot of sense. So it's okay to change your mind based on new information, guys. Okay?
Absolutely. And that actually
100%.
brings me to something I wanted to do amongst the four of us. I thought that we could say between 0 and 10, 0 being the Earth is round, there's no way I change my mind, 10 being, okay, the Earth is flat. We'll do it now, and then after you've said everything you need to say, we'll do it again. And we'll see, maybe even if we go up the scale 1 or 2, maybe that's some kind of small victory. You never know.
I'm going to take the over on that. You guys are going to be well above 5s, if not 11s.
Oh, good. Wow.
Nice.
There we go. I'm going to start. I'm going to put myself at a 1. Okay? I'm going to put myself at a 1.
I'm gonna put myself at a 0, so you've got a big job in your hands.
Oh,
But I believe in you. Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna start off at 0, and then we'll go into it.
this could be.
Mate, you got a tough grade. I'm open-minded. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go for a 2.
Okay,
Yeah, nice.
2 zeros and 1 and a 2.
So the fact that 3 of you or 2 of you are doubting the ball just a little bit, so that's nice. That's interesting because that's crazy in most people's mind. How could you doubt the globe? So I have a challenge for you guys and your listeners that are about to tune out right now because we're talking about the dumbest thing ever. Is I'm offering a Bitcoin if you take my app challenge, and I'll get into that later. But basically, you take the app challenge, and then if you could supply me with 1 proof of the globe, you win a Bitcoin. All right.
I mean, we
Full
love Bitcoin here at APMA.
like
We certainly love Bitcoin.
And so Bitcoin's cruising. So here's the thing. People that believe in the globe have 2 things in common. 1, they don't understand their own model. And 2, they think what our model is nothing that we think it is, we as being flat earth researchers. They think that the earth is a disk floating in space, right? Nobody in the flat earth world thinks this. This is mind control. This is, if you Google flat earth, you're going to end up with these images and you're going to end up at the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is not flat earthers. It's a government run disinformation site to control your mind and to make you laugh at flat earth and never look at it again. This is what Google will serve you.
Right, I'm on 1.
Yeah, yeah, you've got me on board because there is most definitely things like that.
Then they'll straw man us. They're like, well, what are we, the only flat world? We're a flat pancake with other round planets, or they'll show you all flat pancake planets, and then they'll talk about gravity, how it wouldn't work, and you walk over the edge, and gravity would be pulling you towards the center. Nobody believes any of that. The Earth is stationary and does not move. So think about this. What is a puddle? A puddle is where water accumulates where? Where does water accumulate? At the top of a hill?
No, at the bottom.
At the bottom. And what constitutes the edge of a puddle? What defines the edge of a puddle?
The rim?
Well, the land that's higher than the water.
Yeah.
Right? So a pond is a bigger puddle. A lake is a bigger pond. Same thing, right? It's the lake, the edge of the lake, the higher land is the container of the water. Like a bathtub contains the water. If you got rid of the tub, the water is just going to go everywhere and you can't take a bath. Not that you guys would take baths because, it's a chick thing. So,
He loves one.
So the world
who would take a bath?
is like a giant lake. So the world, all of the continents are surrounded by water, but all of the water is surrounded by land that's higher than the level of the water. That land is known as Antarctica. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It is the land that surrounds the world ocean. It's the highest land on Earth. They don't teach you that in school. Antarctica is likely bigger than all of the continents and all of the oceans combined. Way bigger, right? We live in the Antarctic basin, right? So water at rest, large bodies of water at rest lay flat, measurably, testably, scientifically, provably flat. Okay, there's no curvature to water. We can have Navy ship captains with pencil-thin laser beams targeting ships 100 miles away. If the Earth was the size that they say it is, there would be a mile-high wall of water in between them. But they can see these ships and target them with laser beams. Laser beams don't go up and over a curve. Same thing with submarines. They can put sonar, bounce off another sub over 100 miles away. There should be a mountain over a mile high of dirt in between them. So that's what the flat Earth is. What then the other thing is your model is, we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. So the Earth is spinning, right? The daily rotation of the Earth. If you're on the equator, you're moving 1,000 miles an hour because the Earth is just over 24,000 miles around. If you travel 1,000 miles an hour, it takes you, 1 day to go all the way around. So that's 1,000 miles an hour. So when you're watching the sunset, the sun's going down, you have to believe that you're on the top of a ball and you're falling over backwards, which is making the sun appear to go down. That's crazy. You're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. While you're spinning, you're also orbiting the sun and speeding up and slowing down, speeding up and slowing down, as you get closer to the sun. And that is at 66,600 miles an hour on average, they say. right? While you're doing that, you're chasing the sun because the sun is flying at 500,000 miles per hour, like a freaking comet through an infinite vacuum, which is crazy.
Right.
And that entire system's moving sideways at 1 or 2 million miles per hour, right? All of those motions are happening and you don't feel any of them. And when you go out tonight and look at the stars, they're in the exact same position they were a year ago, right? You go out next year, same night, same time, the stars are in the exact same position. Do you guys know what the Georgia Guidestones are? Probably not, right?
No.
So it's like a Stonehenge thing that was built here in Georgia in the United States. And it basically has the 10 commandments of the New World Order on it. That's a whole nother story. But it was built in 1980 or 1981, I think. And but mysteriously built. It was crazy. It cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it has all this stuff written in 12 different languages or something. But there's this little hole that goes all the way through, a long, thin, like straw-like hole. And if you look through the hole at nighttime, what you will see is the North Star, right? We have all of these motions going on. We're traveling billions of miles a year.
Yeah.
But the North Star is always through that hole. If you do a time lapse, you'll see all the other stars circling around it. How could we be traveling in all of those different directions
Unless
the North Star stay in that hole?
would the other stars and stuff be traveling with us in that?
So
Are we going?
So
is it just us individually
should be-
going
we
through
should
it, or are we
go
all
and
going through
expand
it together?
Yeah.
so in our solar system, our solar system's in the galaxy. Our solar system's doing this whole spiral dance with all the planets, and we're going around our sun in all these directions. And all of the other stars are doing all of their stuff in all of their different
That's true.
directions.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
That-
it's like a crazy beehive,
Yeah.
but somehow Polaris has not moved from that hole.
It's an incredible
That's
point.
impossible.
Yeah, I like it.
That is one of the things that does baffle me. And when you think of the North Star, when you think of Orion's belt and things like that, like you say, these stars are all in the same place. And yet, like you say, we're supposed to be going thousands of miles an hour, hurtling around different things and stuff, and yet the stars don't move. I think that's why that's where my 1 instead of 0. I think that's what it hinges on, to be honest. Is that doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things.
I've never even really thought about that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely that took me
That's
to
another thing.
Yeah.
Where nobody thinks about it because we were trained that the Earth was a globe before we can speak. Your parents, if they were good parents, they probably bought a mobile for above your crib of a solar system. Okay. Then you watch Sesame Street and all these children's programming. They're all globe programming shows. The kids go to kindergarten. They come home with worksheets about the sun and the moon and the size and space and astronauts. It's all globe programming. We're going to get to the point where you guys are going to go, well, why? Why the lie? Why the big thing?
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
That
Let's
will
save
be
that
a
for a little bit.
question. Okay.
All right? Because the lie is the most important part of this story.
Can I ask
So-
one question? Sorry, just to interject.
Yeah, please.
Do you believe in planets? Other planets?
So all of the planets, they used to be called wandering stars. And when you look at them, they don't really look like what NASA shows us. And if you look at, we had the big alignment in December where all the planets were in the sky at once. And I'm sure you guys have looked up and seen Mars, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Think how bright that looks. You have to believe that dusty, dirty ball, Mars, is reflecting sunlight. It's way farther from the sun than we are. It's reflecting sunlight off of that dusty, dirty planet all the way back to Earth, where we're seeing it as brighter than any star. That's crazy. Right. And then we have this rover on Mars, and you can tell this is from the rover because it caught the corner of the rover in the camera. But this is a hill in Greenland. It's a hill.
Shit.
Okay.
That's legit
That's
as well?
legit,
That's
yeah.
legit. That's legit. We're going to destroy NASA. Destroy NASA when we get to the NASA part of it.
I'm up for that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And NASA is not a space agency. That's what NASA stands for. They're
Not a space
literally
agency.
they're just evil. And
wow.
the sole reason for NASA and every other space agency, public or private, NASA, RAXA, JAXA, whatever, all of these things, they all use this vector symbology, and they're all in it together. This is a big conspiracy.
Right. A global.
Are you wearing a NASA shirt? Am I seeing a NASA shirt?
Me? Or the...
This
No.
this is a shirt which is the Round Earth Society by APMA.
Yeah, the rounder.
We released this a few months ago. Yeah.
I'll allow it.
So I thought as we've got you on the podcast, it'd be a great place to wear it.
Oh, APMA Round Earth Society merch available now. $29.99 for the charcoal crow. $12.99 for a white or mint tea. Oh, I think I'll make myself a tea now and enjoy the rest of the show.
And like I say,
Nice.
maybe I'll get it.
And we're open to change.
Yeah, like I say, maybe
we can flatten that down.
Maybe we'll get it changed. And
Next topic, or you want me to bring it? You ask a question like why, how. Got something?
I think we'll save the why for a moment.
Yeah.
So, but then again, my question is kind of centered around why. It's a lot to process.
A lot.
I mean, with back to the stars thing for a moment. I did just think also, one of the arguments I think is like what we're seeing is actually light from stars that have long since died, and it takes that long for the light to get to us.
Cool story, bro.
Could that not be a reason as to why they don't move?
Yeah, no, because they're so far away. There's no parallax. That's nonsense. That's the dumbest thing ever. This is the star Arcturus. So our consumer optics have outgrown their lives. They didn't know that we're going to have super zoom cameras with 125 times zoom. And you zoom in on Arcturus. This is supposed to be a star that's trillions and trillions and trillions of miles away, but we can zoom in and see this crazy detail. And here's the star Capella, totally different. It's pulsating with energy and geometric patterns. It's insane. And the star Sirius is slowed down a little bit, right? It kind of looks like it's underwater, and we can get into that in a little bit. But all of these stars are within the Earth system, not the solar system, okay? That's a little hint on where we're going later.
Okay.
All right? They're luring our souls away. Our souls are the currency of the universe, and that's what this is all about. So these are stars, right? Some of them are a little out of focus, but it's really hard to get them in focus. But they all have their own personalities. They're all named after gods. That's interesting too. All the planets are named after gods. I'm sorry. So do I believe in planets? Well, what proof do we have other than we see these lights in the sky? The only thing we can truly say about them are their lights in the sky. NASA says that Venus is almost the same size as Earth. I say Venus is the size of a basketball. Prove me wrong. And you can't.
Wow.
So we don't know how far they are or how big they are because you can't triangulate them because we don't really have any perspective to do that. There's people that claim that they can. Here, we're talking about the stars staying in place. You guys, are you aware of what's called the three-body problem?
No.
I'll explain it.
I'm not.
It's okay. I didn't know either. So you can take the world's best supercomputer and you can create a simulation. You say, all right, I got this sun. It's this big. It's got this much gravity. And I got this planet. It's tiny. It's got this much gravity. And set them into orbit. And the thing will work beautifully. You can calculate where the sun will be in 10 minutes from now, 10 years from now, a million years from now. It works perfectly. Then you enter in a third body, either a moon or going around the planet or another planet going around the sun, and the entire system falls apart, goes into random mode like a beehive, and it never repeats itself. But all of the stars, all of the planets are on a repeating pattern. All of the eclipses repeat every 18 years. Did you guys know that?
No,
every 18 years, the eclipses go through the same cycle again and again and again.
So it has to be synchronized.
It has to be not a random thing. all of the stars in the sky are spinning in I say they're in the firmament, which is the dome, but they're in fixed positions because they never change. They never change. The wandering stars, which we call planets, those have their own paths, but they're also on another cycle, and then they will repeat also. But all of the eclipses repeat in an 18-year cycle. There's 2 different eclipse cycles. But that's fascinating, right?
It certainly is. So you referred to a dome there.
Yeah.
And you haven't really gone too much. I know you're saying about space and stuff, planets and things, but this could tie into one of the very first things that you said, which certainly hooked us, with all the false information out there about flat earthers and stuff. I am of the opinion, which could have been fed by the internet falsely, that 2 things are required to be a flat earther. One thing, gravity doesn't exist, and neither does space.
Right.
Is that correct?
So they tell us that space is an infinite vacuum.
Forever expanding.
You can't have a vacuum next to high pressure without it equalizing. The second law of thermodynamics says high pressure next to low pressure, and vacuum is the ultimate low pressure, would equalize, and it just can't happen. So we're talking about space first.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, no problem. I'm just trying to so people would say, how come all of the air doesn't get sucked off into space? And the only answer that Globers can give is gravity. Gravity's holding the air down, right?
Yeah.
Gravity must be holding it, and and it's denser at the bottom, and it just weakens and it goes up. Well, that's ridiculous, because at any altitude, ground level at 10,000 feet, I can take a straw, point it downwards, stick it in water or not, and just with the weak vacuum of my mouth and lungs, pull air or water up and away effortlessly from Earth, right? Like that, and I'm defying gravity, but the vacuum of space can't rip all the air off the Earth. Makes zero sense. If I had a box, a airtight box, and I sucked all the air out of it, and I brought it up to any altitude, and I opened up a valve on the bottom, all the air is going to go right up into the box. That's something that you can test. How come it doesn't fly off into space?
Is that I'm not educated in this area at all? Is it anything to do with the ozone layer?
The ozone layer is just another layer of gas up in the sky. Ozone is lighter than the denser air that's down here. As we go up, the mixture of the air changes. Helium will go up higher because it's lighter than air. Buoyancy and density sort everything out. Let's talk about gravity. Excuse me. So they say that gravity is caused by mass, and every test they've ever done never works. If gravity was by mass, if I went next to Mount Everest and I held a plumb line, it should tilt towards Mount Everest a little bit, but plumb lines go down. Down is down for me. Down is down for Australia. Down is not up for Australia. Down is down. Down is down for everybody. It's the same down. Down is down. Up is up. Forward and backwards, left and right are all relative to whatever direction you're facing, but up is up. Down is down. So why don't we float off into space if the Earth is flat and there's no gravity? And the answer is because the Earth is measurably, the only true forces in this world are electricity and magnetism. They're brother and sister. And the Earth has a measurable, testable, provable negative charge to it. It does. And there's voltage in the air. The higher up you get, the higher that voltage gets. And that negative charge of the Earth, that light negative charge, has an attraction to it, a very weak force. It just says, hey, down is this way. Very weak. Then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. If I had a handful of ping pong balls and a handful of rocks and I held them over a pool and I dropped them, they'd both fall through the air because they're more dense in the air. The ping pong balls would sit on top of the water. The rocks would go to the bottom. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. Somehow gravity can hold trillions of tons of water and cargo ships and cruise ships upside down in Australia, but a butterfly can fly away. I can jump and get away from this incredible force of gravity. It's nonsense. Everything just sits in the basement. The Earth is the foundation of the universe. Those are the best words I have. What's underneath it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's inside the Earth either.
What's your opinion on tides?
Yeah, let me just finish what I'm showing here. So we did a little test here. We have a metal plate. And this is called a Van de Graaff generator, and we're giving this thing a negative charge. just slightly stronger than the Earth's negative charge, and little pieces of wood and hair and metal will go up because we're defying what? Gravity or the negative charge of the Earth. Okay? We make that stronger than the Earth's charge, bam, everything goes up. You ever see those tinfoil triangles that they electrify and then they float up in the air? That's because it's not defying gravity, it's just defying the electrical charge of the Earth.
Right.
It's interesting. I kind of.
This is a lot to process.
Yeah, no, like I say,
The globe has a huge advantage over flat Earth. It doesn't take any processing. You could just believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. When, like I say, when you're explaining it, you're doing a very good job, and it's
Right.
Jordan's fucking. Jordan's converted already.
I was trying to go where you're
Here's
taking.
the problem. You guys are smart guys. You actually have brains that work, not like most of this world that doesn't have brains that work. Well, it doesn't. You guys underestimate yourself. You say, "Well, I'm not a scientist." Well, scientists are the ones. The teachers are the ones that memorize and regurgitate the best. Some of them come up with their own stuff. That's good. There are some good teachers out there, but the teachers that are teaching, astronomy, they're repeating garbage. It's all nonsense. It's pseudoscience.
There's a few, when it comes to science, there's a few things where I think there's leeway to actually strengthen the flat Earth argument. So obviously, science is rewritten all the time because we understand more and more as we go on. So everything, what is concrete yesterday could be broken today, and. It could with things that with the whole gravity thing against, as you're saying, buoyancy, density, electricity, and magnetism. Could there be? I'm just on the fence at the moment. Could there be perhaps a misunderstanding within gravity, but there is actually kind of a happy medium where maybe the flat earthers with the buoyancy, density, etc., are a bit right, and the people, there's certain elements of gravity that are also correct, and there is a middle ground.
Well, if buoyancy and density is testably, provably right, but that works with gravity also. If there is gravity, whatever that downward force is, buoyancy and density sort things out because the same things will happen. But gravity due to mass doesn't work. The spokesmen for science, say they don't know what gravity is. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I don't know what it is. We don't know. It's a mysterious force. And it's so mysterious that they have to make up dark matter and dark energy to fill in 96% of the universe must be dark matter and dark energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's not enough mass out there for their model to work. And even with that fake nonsensical matter, the dark matter and dark energy, it still doesn't work. The three-body problem, how come we can't model three bodies orbiting? And that alignment, when the moon goes in between the Earth and the sun in the heliocentric model, how come the sun's gravity, which is holding on to the Earth, how come it doesn't rip the moon away or at least tug it a little bit? Just pull it out of its orbit, just a tiny bit. But the moon is in the same place. We know exactly where the moon's going to be.
But the moon does sometimes appear at least closer in certain places. You sometimes see the moon and it's absolutely huge.
Absolutely. I'll show you how the moon moves when I pull up my app for you.
Okay.
What would you say the moon actually is in the flat Earth model? What?
It's cheese.
I love cheese.
I
fucking hope so.
Here's the thing: as I said earlier, anything in the sky above us, all we can say is that they're lights. Because when the moon is a new moon, it's not there. No one can ever see it. Why don't we see it? How come the Earth shine doesn't light up the moon so somebody with an infrared camera or something could see it? When the new moon happens, nobody has ever seen it in less than like 40 some odd hours. Right? That's almost 2 full days. How come the Earth shine, like the moon shine, lights up the Earth? Right? Like if you're out in the middle of nowhere on a clear night and there's a full moon, you could read by it. You could walk. You don't even need a flashlight. Yeah. Right? And the moon, the dusty, dirty ball of the moon, this dusty, dirty ball where this astroliar is, he is lighting up the Earth. Yeah. Right?
But isn't that the reflection of the sun?
It's supposedly. So the sun is reflecting off of this. It's traveling 238,000 miles back to Earth, and we see it this bright. The light over distance gets
bright.
weaker, and it weakens exponentially. Every time you double the distance, it's a quarter of the brightness. Or every time you half the distance, it's 4 times as bright. So I can read by this in the middle of nowhere. So let's say this is 1 lumen. It's probably like 20 lumens, but 1 lumen. It's a measurement of light. I go halfway to the moon. It's 4 lumens. I cut that distance in half, it's 16 lumens. Cut that in half, 64 lumens. I keep doing that until I'm about 100 miles from the moon. It's like 10 million lumens.
Quite bright. Quite bright.
10 million lumens. That's
in
not 10 million lumens. 10 million lumens would melt the sky. Okay, you wouldn't be able to see. So this is nonsense. This is complete and total nonsense.
So
these guys
what is the moon,
didn't just get back from the moon. These guys went to the moon. They were hiking around. They were planting flags. They came back. First guys ever. Do they look excited? Or
you could have caught them on an off shot.
Yeah. Caught them on an off day. It looks like somebody just whispered in their ear, "Hey, we just shot your dog."
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that man. Okay, so as far as the flat Earth community are aware, the moon is essentially just an unexplained light.
Well, it is, and we have lots of theories on what it may be. I think that the sun and the moon are projected, for lack of a better word, into our sky, and we all see it in a place relative to us. Let me explain this so you guys can probably handle this. So when you're driving down the road as a kid and you go, "Hey, Mom, the moon's following me." And your mom goes, "No, it's not. It just looks like it is." Well, it actually is following us because we all see it in a different position because it's what I say it's a reflection. So imagine this. We're all standing outside. We're 50 feet apart in a straight line. And in front of us is a gigantic upright mirror. Okay, giant mirror. And behind us is the sun. The sun is setting. It's just up in the sky behind us. So we're all looking at the sun in the mirror. So another person walks up to the mirror and I go, "I see the sun right there." And they draw an X on the mirror right where I circle the sun on the mirror with a Sharpie. Then they walk 50 feet over to the next guy. And one of you says, "Well, I see it right there." And that circle on that mirror is going to be 50 feet from my circle on the mirror. They're going to see it in a different position, right? You understand how that works, yes?
Yeah.
So we're all going to see it in a different position. If we tried to triangulate the where we all see the sun and figure out our angles and everything, it doesn't work because we're not looking at a physical object, right? If we tried to triangulate an actual physical object, that would work. And we're like, okay, we can tell how far it is, how big it is, but we can't because we're all seeing it in a different position. So, but you're like, wait a minute, how could it be a reflection when I feel the sun and I see it? And this is where I came to this revelation. I was at a conference in Las Vegas. I'm sitting by the pool in the late afternoon. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon. The sun is up in the sky and I could feel it on the right side of my face. And literally it's hot. Las Vegas is super hot if you guys didn't know. And I was like, the right side of my face is going to be toasted. I was like, I need to turn around or something. And over to my left, 100 yards away, was the hotel. And the hotel was one of those big mirrored glass hotels. And the sun was lining up with one of the mirrored windows perfectly. And I could look at it and it was like a perfect sun in the mirror. And they looked the same, but of course I could tell which one is the reflection because I'm not an idiot. But then I closed my eyes and I felt the sun reflecting off the mirror and the actual sun on my face. And I said, if I didn't know which one was the real sun, could I tell with my eyes closed? And I couldn't. The heat was the same coming off of that mirror. So perhaps the sun that we're seeing is also a reflection coming through the dome.
Is that not just the transfer of heat and energy off of a reflective surface?
What I'm saying is, if the sun is a reflection, it doesn't mean that it can't transfer all of that heat and energy. It does.
I see. Right. So you're saying because they're the same, it could be. Right.
I'm just saying that's a possibility. I'm showing you that it can be a reflection. Again, we don't know. The sun is in the flat Earth model is electric in nature. It's like a Tesla coil. It gives us day and night. There's a difference between sunlight and daylight. Sunlight is when you see the actual sun. Daylight is when the sun is fluorescing the gases in the sky. I don't have the image. So the sun fluoresces the gases like a Tesla coil would fluoresce the gases in a bulb and it lights up. You ever see a Tesla coil? They bring a bulb near it, it lights up. Well, the sun does the same thing in the sky, and it fluoresces the gas. And the major gas up there is nitrogen, and nitrogen fluoresces blue.
So, right. I'm trying so hard to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun one's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It certainly
to
is.
get your head round.
Okay, right. Okay. Right. I'm going to pull it to a break here, just to refresh my brain. And when we come back, I've got questions.
I've got answers.
And David's got answers. So we will see you after this break, guys.
All right.
APMA, how's it going? I'm here to talk about becoming an APMA VIP. Now, you might see on your YouTube a join button. If you don't, there is a link in the description. If you hit that join button, you'll become an APMA VIP. Now, with that, you will get a one-off sign-up free t-shirt. The design looks a little bit like this. You will also get access to an exclusive members-only podcast once a month, and we have a members-only Discord channel as well. And just as a bonus, you'll get some cool badges and some emotes of our faces and other things that you can put in live chats and in the comments section. So there we go, guys. That is $4.99. You get a free t-shirt upon sign up, an exclusive monthly podcast, that exclusive membership-only Discord channel, which we will jump in and out of every now and then, and the badges and emotes. Thank you so much. If you want to become a VIP, hit that join button or the link down below. See you soon, guys. APMA, how are we doing? We're back. With David, is still here, and he's gonna shed some more light on flat Earth for us. So, David, please take the floor.
So we were talking about daylight and sunlight. Here's a shot from a balloon around 100,000 feet. And over here is daylight. The sun is over here, and it's fluorescing the sky, and they have daylight. But just over here, it's pitch black, and there's nothing stopping you. It's just that the electricity from the light can only fluoresce so far. Light can only push so far, and the electricity can only reach so far. So when you watch the sunset, I'll actually show you a video in a second. It takes its light with it, and as it's traveling around the Earth. You mentioned solar panels before. Do you know that scientists don't know how solar panels work? They have a theory, right? The photons are traveling for 8.5 minutes, and they come from the sun. They take 1 billion years to come from the middle of the sun to exit the sun, and they take 8.5 minutes to get here. Nonsense. Then they hit the solar panel, and they knock a boron molecule out, and then it gets filled with another one, and it creates a current. That's not it at all. The sun is electric. It's sending electricity, and the solar panel is just collecting that electricity and running it into a current. If you had two house plants and you put one of them in front of a fireplace and one of them in front of a fluorescent light, one of them is going to shrivel up and die. The other one's going to grow. Okay? The sun is sending electricity to the Earth that feeds the entire system. Everything runs off of electricity.
So
amazing, right?
Yeah, that's photosynthesis, isn't it?
Well, they're telling you it's called photosynthesis. It's literally electricity. How
Traveling
can
down.
You can grow plants in your home with
UV light?
fluorescent lights?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What is photosynthesis?
Yeah,
it's a transfer of energy. It's a transfer of energy. The whole thing of photosynthesis is a lie.
I guess.
Wait, hold on. Let me back that up. Photosynthesis, where you have the stuff that converts it. That process is real, but it's not coming from photons running through the sky. It's coming from electricity coming in and causing this photosynthesis.
If you had a big enough electric light in the sky, like if a plant, like I say, you can plug a fucking, because I've done it, you plug a fucking little light in and you can grow your plant.
So essentially, the sun is that giant light bulb.
Get your vitamin D.
You're getting raided, mate. You are.
growing
plants.
Let me show you an experiment about the sunset. So this is my kitchen, and I have this line here. It's a level line, and this is my little sun, and I'm just running it along the line, and we're looking at it from the height of the sun. So it's going straight and level, and then I have these are just obstructions, whether they're clouds or mountains or whatever in the distance, and the sun is going over them. So now I'm going to show you the same view, but from over here, from the level of the counter, which would be the plane of the Earth. And so as the sun goes away, it's still level, but it looks like it's going down. And as it goes beyond these things in the distance that all are at eye level because everything gets mushed into the horizon, it literally disappears behind them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you the whole thing again, a little closer. And I'm going to show it to you compared to a real sunset. So as this line that looks like it's going down is level. I showed you that this line is level. Here's a real sunset. Here's my sunset. And as it's going away, look, it's getting eclipsed here because you can't see what's here. But it's blocking the sun, and the sun is just going beyond it. It's literally that simple.
Yeah,
so
that works.
So the next question you're going to have is, why can't we see forever? And the answer is because light can't push through the atmosphere. So this is a spot in Alusia, France. We're looking out over the water. Here's the supposedly physical horizon, but it's an optical horizon. And out here is Mount Canigou, which is 175 miles away. According to Globe Math, the top of Mount Canigou should be a mile below this curvature, a mile. And therefore, that's why we can't see it. That's what a glober would say. But on 2 days a year, the sun lines up with this viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And as it goes past it, all of a sudden, it starts backlighting it. And you can see this is Mount Canigou. Right here is the highest point on Mount Canigou. It should be a mile below the curve. But not only can we see the top, we can see the entire mountain.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Wow.
And that's how light going through our atmosphere works, and why we can't see forever. People say, "What about Hawaii? How come I can't see this other mountain 300 miles away?" And the answer is because it's 300 miles away. You can't see that far. Like if you had an Olympic-sized swimming pool and you made it 5 times the length it is, probably just an Olympic swimming pool would be enough. And you put a picture on one end in the pool, you couldn't see that picture because the light coming off that picture won't make it through the thickness of that water. Well, the air is the same thing. One more. This is a drone I put up. Super cold day, super clear, unbelievably clear day. And the sun was up here. And if the earth was rotating, the sun in 5 minutes time went from all the way up here. It went down, down, down. If the earth was rotating, it would just keep on going. But what happened was it went down, 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 down. And then it stopped. And it sat there for 10 minutes. It just sat there. It never went below this line. This is super sped up. And then instead of going down, it just faded away because the sun couldn't even push through. Here it goes again, right? It just faded out. It's still there, but its light can no longer push through.
That's
light
real.
Light doesn't travel for billions of miles and trillions of years.
That's real. That's an actual video of the sun just disappearing rather than going over the horizon.
And I filmed it over 7 times.
You filmed it yourself?
And by the way, my friends at the beach were watching the sunset, and they saw the sunset from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier. And the reason they saw it set from the bottom up is because they're just seeing perspective. This cloud is merged with the horizon, and as it goes beyond this cloud, you no longer can see it when it appears below it, and it looks like it sets from the bottom up. That's all a sunset is. It's just going like this is the cloud deck or the atmospheric deck or a skyline, whatever, and the sun just goes beyond it. It looks like it sets.
Because
perspective.
That model does work. It does.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Let me share my app with you, and I'll tell you guys about the challenge. But I don't think any of you are going to take it because you guys are already flat earthers. So is that up on the screen, nice and big?
Yes.
Yeah. And you can see it edge to edge. So we're looking down at the flat Earth pond, and the sky is a perfect clock over the Earth. So the sun is the hour hand. I'll speed it up. And the sun goes around once every 24 hours. And as you can see, it's gaining distance on the moon every day. So the sun will lap the moon every 28, 29 days. So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon, its phase and its position, keep track of the weeks and the months. They hijacked our calendar. There used to be 13 months with 13 moon cycles in it. But they changed it. And they also gave us clocks that go around twice a day so nobody could figure out what the hell's going on. But, the clock only should go around once a day. The sun is the hour hand. If I turn on the stars, the fixed stars in the sky, not the crazy beehive, they are going just slightly faster than the sun. they lap the sun once a year. So right now, the sun is in between these two constellations. Pisces is going to catch up with the sun, and the sun will be in Pisces for the next month, and then it'll be in whatever constellation this is, and each one will catch up for its month, and in a year, we'll be right back to where we are just before we're going to Pisces at the same time. So the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. If I turn on the time zones, right now, it is midnight in Central Australia. It's 4 p.m. in Central Africa. It's almost 10 o'clock here on the East Coast in America, right here, 10 o'clock, catching up. So the time zones spin with the sun. That's how time zones work. And I just showed you how the sun, can't throw its light that far, so it only lights up the area that it lights up. So what I tell, also, you know how they tell us about the jet stream goes this big crazy sine, the sine wave jet stream never made sense to me on a ball. But if you put the jet stream on a flat Earth model, this is the winds at 10,000 feet, not 10,000, 40,000 feet. That's the jet stream. This is what's happening right now. The jet stream goes in a perfect circle. Almost a perfect circle, but it circles around the flat Earth. There's pink and red winds in the middle there. Those are like 200 mile an hour winds that are very consistent. So that's the actual winds on a flat Earth. And, if you want to fly from Santiago to Australia, you get up, the planes that do the direct flights fly faster than they tell us. They get into these tailwinds. They got a 200 mile an hour tailwind, and bam, the flight times make perfect sense. So what I tell people is take the Flat Earth app challenge. Every day, there's a new video that shows up here. Short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekend. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks, and then you too will lose the respect of your friends and family. but if you have a question, you're like, well, what about, you hit the question mark, and up come all the questions. What about gravity? We talked about gravity. What about eclipses, right? What about eclipses? I just clicked eclipses. Up come all of the videos that YouTube won't serve you, right? And it'll teach you all about eclipses. And this is all stuff you can verify yourself. Unlike NASA, can't verify anything. It has all the questions are answered there. If you hit the little web button, up come all sorts of other stuff. If you have kids, click this button here, Flat Earth Man. Watch the videos with your kids, and they too will be ostracized from their friends and yelled at by their teachers. Okay, but Goodness. You will learn so much from Flat Earth Man's music. And then there's all sorts of biblical stuff, mud floods. I don't know if you guys are into that, but that's amazing. You can do experiments yourself. You're like, hey, you go down to the beach and you're like, hey, I can see that smokestack. I know how far it is. So you go to the curve calculator. So I click the curve calculator. Up comes a curve calculator, and I can say, okay, that smokestack, my height is 6 feet, 50 miles. Calculate. There should be 1,473 feet of curvature. How the hell can I see that smokestack? I know that it's not higher than 500 feet. So that'll prove right there that you're seeing too far. Over here, interviews. You guys' interview will be here when it airs.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Click that, and up come all the interviews that I've done recently. It goes on and on and on.
Excellent.
And it does a whole bunch of things, different languages for playlists of videos in different languages.
Now we've done.
Oh wait, one more thing.
Sorry.
Compass. The flat Earth. You guys wanted me to explain the flat Earth a little better.
Yes, please.
The magnetic north is the center of the flat Earth. Okay,
right.
So if you put a compass down anywhere on that map, the needle's going to point towards the center of the flat Earth lake. Right? If you want to go east or west, you got to remember that compass has to always point towards the center. So east and west are circles. When you head east from New York, you have to keep turning to the left to maintain that 90-degree heading. You're just following your compass. You think you're going in a straight line, but you're going 90 degrees. And guess what? You came all the way back. You think you went around a ball. You just went around the lake. West is a circle. What you can't do on a flat Earth is you can't go from Santiago over Antarctica and pop up over here in Australia. And guess what? Nobody's ever done it because you can't. If you go south is away from the center. You go out. What's out there? We don't know. It's off limits. The Antarctic Treaty, there's nobody, no corporation, no person is allowed to explore independently outside of the edge of Antarctica. No one's allowed to go out there. And that's in place until the year 2041. One more thing on seasons, and then I'll let you guys go. I know I've been rambling. This outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. This inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. So if I hit the little jumping guy and I go to April, May, June, in June, the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer. It's closer to the inner northern world, so it's higher in the sky. If you had two airplanes flying parallel to each other, 10,000 feet, one of the airplanes is over your head and one of them is just 50 miles to the south or whatever. The one over your head, that's your summer sun. It's high in the sky. It's close. The one that's out south is lower in the sky. Even though it's the same height, it's lower in the sky because it's farther away. Perspective makes it look lower. It's farther away. It's our winter. So if I jump to December, the sun goes all the way out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and the outer land is having its summer. It's going right over Australia. They're in the heat of their summer while we have a distant, far lower sun because it's our winter. That's how seasons work. It's very simple.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Is that by design? With the seasons, is that just
explain? Say again.
Obviously you say that the sun is the sun just there naturally, or is it by design? Obviously seasons creates a lot of money, doesn't it, on Earth? Like, is there something that's making it do that,
yes.
or is it a natural? Is it a natural
occurrence?
That's a great question, and the answer is whatever created this place. So here's the why. When you think that you live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite vacuum, which is impossible, you think that you were created because lightning struck, created some DNA that turned into an amoeba, that turned into a fish that grew legs, that found another sexy fish that grew legs, and it turned into a monkey that turned into a human. You are a random accident of nothing, and you're on a speck spinning through an infinite universe in a distant god or godless universe, and that an asteroid could take us out at any moment. We're going to run out of dinosaur juice for our cars. More nonsense. Nuclear bombs could blow us up. More nonsense. Terrorists. More nonsense. All of this stuff is to keep us in fear and to hide the creator. Because the truth is, we are at the center of creation. This place is intelligently designed. What would be less spectacular than this place being a random accident, when you understand what it is a tornado going through a junkyard and building a fleet of 747s on its own. Okay? That would be less spectacular because this world is intelligently designed. Who's the creator? That's your own journey. You figure that out yourself. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you don't know. I don't know. But it is intelligently designed. What they don't want us to know is that we are these spiritual beings having this soul's journey. Our soul is here having this experience in this physical meat suit that we're having, and our brains need to connect with our soul. But when our minds are hijacked, put into a mental prison, the globe, and hijacked by television and all of this crap, you lose your way. And the goal of our lives here is just to maintain control of our soul. Be a good person, help your neighbor, don't kill anybody, don't steal from anybody. That's basically it. Just be a good person. But the people that are running this world are hiding the creator and making you give up your free will. They can't take anything from us, including anything. There's nothing they can take from us unless we willingly give it. So right now, what's going on in the world is insane. People have lost their minds, and the way they're getting away with it is people are lost in space, spinning out of control, and they have no idea who they are, the power of their mind, and they're just succumbing to all of this complete and total nonsense. Even though, if you look into what's going on in the world today, everything that they're telling us, they've already admitted is bullshit. They already admitted, what's going on is none of it makes any sense when you actually look at the details, but people are too lazy to look at the details. Just like you guys never looked at the flat earth or the globe earth, people aren't looking at what's happening in the world right now. So why with all the stuff going on in the world am I talking about flat earth? And the answer is because if we ever get our freedom back, How long can we keep it if we're lost in space, spinning out of control, and don't know where we are? The final thing I'll say is, the analogy I use is, you know, the documentary with Keanu Reeves called The Matrix.
Oh,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
Oh, APMA Simulation Black Crow, $29.99. Black Tea, $12.99. Red pill, blue pill, what's it gonna be? I think we all know what type of pill Loz is gonna take. Head on over to the APMA website now for all your merch.
So
Very
at
well.
the beginning, Neo is lost. He's trapped in the Matrix. He doesn't know who he is, where he is, what he is. He's depressed. He's laying in bed a lot. And then by the end of the movie, he figures out who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his own mind. And that's what they don't want. They don't want us to know that if we all united and used our minds, they would be nothing. They would be lose control. They've hijacked our minds and stolen our divinity.
He's in.
That's it. Jimmy's
That's it.
converted.
You're the shirt is gone. I owe you a new sweatshirt.
You're the one.
It's the architects.
Okay. There's elements of what you just said that I can get on board with. I don't know if the destination is the same, so I'll quickly explain. So there are certain things like what you're saying there about, you know, putting ideas in place to maintain control, and things like that, to diminish hope, etc. I kind of saw it on a much smaller scale. I saw things like, the lottery. I see the lottery as an idea. You give people, the hope. You give the working class people hope that one day they could become a millionaire, and so they're going to buy that ticket, and then they wait till Wednesday and they might win. Oh, they don't win, but they could win next week, so we'll hang in there, and they never really go and achieve more than or achieve what they could, because they're holding out on, well, I might win the lottery one day. And some people do, of course they do, because they need to keep the idea alive. But so that's where I'm on board with what you're saying with the control element. But it makes sense.
Let me just add to that. Let me add to that for real quick. They also give us sports teams. When
I was going to say
that,
yeah.
And you cheer for a sports team, you're subconscious thinks that you have a victory. They have to give us victories, otherwise we will rebel.
Not
when
England
your
in the
sports
World
team
Cup.
wins, you've won, and you're happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Because it gives, you looks forward to football, which is normally on the weekend, which is normally when you're not working.
Right.
And so I do completely agree with that element. I'm not saying that it is fact. I'm just saying that it would make sense if those were tools for control. And I understand where you're coming from, like the whole lost in space, spinning, losing our divinity and stuff. But it's still, to make up the idea of it being a globe, I can't connect the dots there. I don't understand why they would do that. And also, I think it's a very pessimistic view to be like we're traveling through space, spinning out of control, lost, when the idea of space being infinite and there being other planets and life forms out there and stuff, that's infinite possibilities is exciting.
So let's talk about infinite possibilities real quick. Perhaps NASA's not lying when they say they want to go to outer space. Maybe the outer space is just across the plane to where there's extra territory, extra terra. Okay? So maybe there's more lands out there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe they've just tried to like an area. Let's figure out a space we can control, get sorted out, and then once we've got the control, then we'll start to branch out.
And there's lots of stories about, the Iron Republic, which is lands beyond Antarctica. Here's another view. Maybe there's another sun out here. Maybe the sun out here is Mars and the moon is Venus. And maybe out here, the sun is Saturn and the moon is Jupiter. And we're just seeing reflections of them in our dome. And these are the outer spaces where the extraterrestrials from the extra territory come from.
We get a big Game of Thrones here.
That makes more sense than anything. Yeah. The secret space program is just the outer spaces. All of the biggest telescopes in the world are in the far south. They're out in South America, and they're not looking up. They're looking out. They're looking towards the outer space.
That's why Elon Musk is digging tunnels, mate.
Musk is a puppet. Okay?
I wanted to know your thoughts on like Elon Musk.
Here, you know who Werner von Braun is? Werner von Braun is a scientist that
Operation
Nazi
Paperclip
was brought over to run NASA. Right? And on his gravestone, all it says is Psalms 19:1, which says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Right? That's talking about the firmament is the dome above us. Why would a Nazi scientist, rocket scientist, have that? The other thing is, he wrote a book in the 1950s called the Mars Project. And what that was is a story about a bunch of people that went to Mars and started a colony there. Okay. And this is the rocket he shows. And it was run by a guy named Elon. This was written in the 1950s. And Elon Musk, this is the rocket he's going to go to Mars in. Kind of looks the same, if you ask me, right? This is predictive programming. Like Arthur C. Clarke wrote about satellites. And then a few years later, all of a sudden we have satellites and people are like, oh yeah, satellites make sense. And they don't predictive program you to expect something, then your brain might reject it and they can't afford to do that.
Yeah, I'm on board.
The royal guy that came up with the concept of dinosaurs in the 1800s, or I forget exactly when it was, he came up with the idea of dinosaurs. And then a year later to the day, he discovered the first dinosaur. Come on.
I don't know if I'm ready to reject dinosaurs just yet. That's it. But with the predictive programming, I have a theory when it comes to aliens. That in Hollywood and stuff, this image of the grey or green big head dude with the big eyes and no nose and the little mouth and the three fingers, all this has been like programmed into us. So if one rocks up, there's not gonna be mass hysteria. They'll be like, that's an alien, which I know obviously kind of.
How do you know that I didn't come from those lands beyond Antarctica? I'm an extraterrestrial. You can't prove it, right? How do you know, right?
I hope you are.
You'd have told us.
The Space Force, right? Space Force.
Star Trek, isn't it?
It's gotta be real. This is the logo, right? Trek. This is the logo of Starfleet Command.
Yeah, programming, 100%.
It's unbelievable how dumb people are. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Quick one, David. Have you ever been encountered by anyone from has anyone in the government or anything come at you and said, you need to calm down with what you're doing? Anything like that?
That's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is I get a knock on the door and they're like, hey, they got a cup of coffee. Like, hey, Dave, here's the deal. You got to calm down, and we're gonna give you your own home on a beautiful island in the Caribbean and tons of money. Yeah. And just go there and be quiet. That's my biggest fear. Yeah. Because I don't know how I'm going to say no to that.
At least you're honest. At least
because you're doing a lot of interviews, aren't you?
A lot. I'm doing like 20 a week.
Smashing it out, man.
Yeah.
Smashing it out.
So again, there's things that we can test. Like here's a oil rig, 9.4 miles away, viewer height 1 foot. There should be 59 feet of curvature out here. But not only can we see the bottom of the oil rig, we can see the water for tens of miles beyond it, where there should be hundreds of feet of curvature. Yeah. We can see too far. That's testable, repeatable, provable by any person. There's no curvature. So how many stretches of flat water does it take to make a sphere?
Yeah. There's definitely questions there.
So when do you think that we're going to be going beyond the wall, David? What's the...
Well, we talked about the Antarctic Treaty. Nobody's allowed to go beyond this line 60 degrees south. Now, you can pay $10,000 to $30,000 to go for a couple days. There's a whole bunch of companies that you can do a sightseeing tour, but they're all owned by one company, so that's fascinating. They'll take you to this little peninsula here, which is gigantic. It's huge. It's probably half the size of England, and they'll show you some icebergs, and they'll show you some penguins, and then they'll bring you over here and they'll show you a ceremonial South Pole, but you can't prove that it's the South Pole because compasses don't work and GPS doesn't work. And then they'll kick you out. Nobody is allowed to go out here. And until the year 2041, where they'll kick it down the road another 60 years.
So 2041, what do you think will happen? They'll just rewrite it?
It'll be kicked down. However, this is what's going on now. This is going to transition us a little bit. This is a cycle that repeats every 100 years. Every 100 years, right now, in 1920, we had the Spanish flu. And, everybody was wearing masks. Everybody was getting vaccinated. And there was a massive die-off. In 1820, there was cholera. Same thing happened there. In 1720, there was the plague. Right? So every 100 years, all of a sudden, there seems to be some great reset, right? I think the internet kind of got away from them this time, and the information, there's always been flat earthers around. We haven't known the earth is flat for 2,000 years like they tell us. I was interviewing this woman in February of 2020, 102 years old, and I was talking to her about the World's Fairs. And she had such a great memory. I asked her, what did they teach you in elementary school? She knew the school, the teacher, the kids in her class. And she said, they taught me the earth was flat. This is in Connecticut in the 1920s. So we did some more research. And then she goes, and then they changed it. And she just believed them because her teacher said they changed it. And we found a woman in Croatia who said in the 1930s, all the schools taught flat earth. And we found newspaper articles on microfilm that said that teachers were being persecuted and threatened with jail for trying to teach heliocentrism in the early 1920s, in the early 1900s. Okay, they hijacked us. There was some sort of world reset. There was a worldwide civilization here in the 1800s called Tartaria, and they've separated us. They divided us. They divide us by countries. They divide us by religions, by races, by sexes, by sports teams. They're dividing. And now they're dividing our families. You can't visit your grandmother. You can't visit this. What's funny is this video went viral, and all the flat earthers like, hey, there's not many people that can remember that are alive. We only have like a very short period of time to talk to people like this. And so everybody go to old age homes and find lucid old people, centenarians, and interview them. And guess what happened the next week? COVID. Nobody can go to old age homes worldwide. I may be responsible for this entire lockdown.
Oh, David, what have you done? David. I do have a question that will backtrack ever so slightly to the picture of the flat Earth, and then what is maybe outside and the dome, the dome, etc. First question might be a little bit personal. You don't have to answer it, of course. Are you a religious person, David?
Absolutely not. Like, I would listen to a podcast before I discovered the flat earth, and I'd like, this is great stuff. I'm taking notes, whatever it was, conspiracy, information, health, whatever. And then they'd mention the Bible or the Quran or whatever. Yes. And I'd rip out those 3 pages, throw them in the garbage, unsubscribe, and never listen to them again because they're religious kooks. Yeah. I'm not religious. Mm-hmm. But I understand that this world is created.
Because that leads into what I was then going to say. Because
that's my.
I'll tell you where I'd be open to it. Is if, because you say we're in a dome, etc. If there's like an alien civilization out there, and we're in a petri dish, and this flat Earth is the petri dish, and it's all controlled by them. So that's your higher being, Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, maybe, so I did a talk, and it's on my channel. My YouTube channel is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It's just DITRH. I did a talk with researcher Sophia Smallstorm, and we theorized that maybe the Earth is just a frozen sheet, and in the center, the sun is born out of the Earth. Crazy. It's hard to realize. And it melts out this pool, and the sun oscillates, as I showed you on the app, in and out here. So it's circling around, it's oscillating, and it melts, keeps everything here. So you have this whole civilization here. And then one day, the sun decides to move out here and only oscillates out here. All of this center part would get freezing cold. So what will these people do? They'll all migrate outwards. So the entire civilization moves out to this outer ring now, where the sun is now out here. There's few people left in here, Eskimos, people just, in the dark, it's cold and whatever. And 10 years later, 100 years later, whatever it is, a new sun is born. And it's their savior, the sun. And it brings life back. And so now you have a new population. It remelts out another puddle here. And this puddle knows nothing of this puddle. These people know that there was something in here. I don't know if they know there's a new sun or whatever, and they can figure it out. But these people are all ignorant, and they have no idea what's in the outer space.
That's very interesting. That actually ties, that ties into a theory that I had in my head the other day about ancient Egyptians and all those ancient civilizations.
They all migrated outwards.
Exactly. Because basically what I was thinking the other day was, what if there was some kind of, what if our technology did advance thousands and thousands of years ago, then there was some form of cataclysmic or event of some description which kind of wiped all of that technology and stuff, and we almost had to start again, or in what you're saying there, we moved out and then or
200 years ago, not thousands and thousands of years ago. Think about this. So all of this outer part is frozen. The sun moves out, right? Antarctica, remember, it's 200 feet high of ice just to start. It's bigger than all of the oceans in all of the world. So if the sun moved out, all of Antarctica would melt, all of that water would go down, great flood happens, the entire thing gets mud flooded. You guys know about mud floods?
No.
So on the app, on the second page there, go to Tataria, mud floods, and it's not a theory. The world had a cataclysmic mud flood where everything was buried in mud. And then the new civilization kind of there's buildings today that have windows underground. Why is that? It's because they were pre-mud flood buildings. And those they were buried and just they just rebuilt a new door on the second or third or fifth floor or whatever. And there's stories and stories below the ground with windows that used to be above ground. So that's the reset. Everyone travels outwards. Mud flood happens. If you look up I don't know if you guys know about the Bostock Saga. Basically, it talks about all the life starting in the middle. And if you want to tie this to astrotheology, the sun, the SON, and the SUN have very similar stories. If you look at all of the stories of all of the religious leaders, Jesus, there's like 50 different religions. They all die on the 21st of December and are reborn on the 25th. Well, our sun dies on the 21st, and then it comes back on the 25th. It starts coming back inwards. So it's the same thing. Like if you and I are standing at the water watching the sunset and we're 50 feet apart, you're going to see the sun walking on the water to your feet. I'm going to see the sun walking on the water to my feet. I'll look over at you. I don't see the same line you see, and you don't see the same line I see. So one might say we're having our personal relationship with the sun, right? The sun warms our heart, feeds us, gives us life, makes it so we can see. Right? Same thing could be said about, Jesus and all these other religious leaders.
Yeah, there is a lot of overlap with different religions, and it is all tied to worship of the sun, etc.
And I'm not saying that these religious leaders didn't live; they did or they didn't. My belief is that our souls come from the heavens above, from the stars. Maybe the stars are souls, and maybe the sun in the sky is the Son of God. And that soul came here in different forms, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever, at different times, having their physical experience, shedding light on the world.
It's a better world. It sounds like a better world than just dying.
This world is amazing. And here's the thing. They have us living in fear, right? Fear of nuclear bombs, by the way, which are fake. Oh. Fear of running out of dinosaur juice, which is not a real thing. Fear of terrorists. Most 99.9% of the stuff we hear about terrorists is not real. Fear of running out of food. We live in a magical world. This is how magical the world is. You can go in your garage, Find a seed that your grandfather stored in there in a jar, 50 years old, whatever. Take it, stick it into the dirt in your ground. Then the most valuable substance in the world, which is water, will fall from the sky and food will grow out of the ground. Yeah. There's no food shortage. There's intelligence shortage.
Yeah,
there's people that are just the grocery store doesn't have food, therefore there's no food. You're an idiot, okay? Not you. I'm just like, people have no idea where food comes from.
Yeah.
It comes
a lot
from
of people
ground.
don't ask the questions, do they?
Yeah,
You know,
that is true.
Yeah. That's kind of what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, we ask.
We like to. We like to ask.
Question everything.
Answer nothing. That's our slogan.
And here's the thing: we have these flat Earth conferences all over the world. We're having one on March 27th in Greensboro, North Carolina, for anyone in the United States that's listening. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us there. And the people come from all walks of life. There's just all different ages, all different people, kids, adults, whatever. And I always say, if I drop my wallet there and it was loaded with cash, I'm confident somebody will return it to me with all the cash in it.
Well, I wouldn't
be confident anywhere else, because all of the people that wake up to flat Earth, for some reason, they see that there's no fear. When you're not living in fear, you're not selfish. You're not nihilistic. You're a better person. Now, there are good people that think that we live on a ball. You guys are good people.
Thank you very much.
You think we live on a ball, but there's, when you're living in fear of shortage and death and all of these things,
desperation.
You become, you're a different person, and that's what they want. They're literally hiding that truth and the power of our minds. So I know you guys probably want to wrap up pretty soon. Give me one reason you think we live on a ball. Just one. Okay.
I know you're going to shoot it down, but the pictures from the space station.
All right, can we? Do we have a few minutes to go over that?
Jump in, man. Yeah. We got time.
You don't mind going a little long?
Hey, we're on your time.
All right. Well, we can go as long as you like.
Cool.
So NASA admits they have no photos of Earth from space. They admit it. They admit that the photos that they have are made in Photoshop. The guy that made the blue marble said he made it in Photoshop from strips of data. Here's 2 shots from NASA. Look at the United States. It's twice the size over here, and this one's tilted back. So when you tilt something back, it gets smaller. It doesn't get bigger. Okay. That's crazy. But if you look at the other one, if you look at this one, and I show you, here's something that we could actually measure. We don't have to, trust airplanes and whatever. We can drive across Mexico and measure this distance on a boat and drive across Baja, and it's 934 miles. Science tells us the diameter, straight line through the Earth, is 7,917 miles. I should be able to fit 8.5 of these in between these 2 lines. 8.5 of those doesn't even fit on this page.
Jesus.
So either the Earth is tiny, half the continents don't exist, or NASA's lying, and that's nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Here's Jupiter. 2 shots that are over 2 years apart, and every single cloud is the same. These are 2 shots from NASA. There's one, hey, we discovered the Northern Lights. Look at this, ridiculous. I could have done that better for them if they asked me. Okay, but every single cloud. See this little wispy cloud right here?
Yeah,
it's right there.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
It's the same
and the red spot.
Exact picture. They're too lazy to even make a new friggin' picture, right?
Yeah.
Either they're mocking us, or that's just them needing to let us know. Here's a close-up of these clouds here. They're stepped and repeated clouds. All of these things are stepped and repeated. Happens on all of their pictures. They use the same overlays again and again and again. It's
bizarre.
It's insanity, right? So, and our minds are easily tricked. Well, you see this is Jupiter, right? Okay. Is it Jupiter, or is it a meadow with dust? Okay. So I'm just saying how very easy it is. And if we look at the space station,
that'd be good on the shot.
If we look at, sorry about that. Sorry, I love doing that one.
We might have to steal that image off you
and put it on a shirt if that's okay.
The space station, they're constantly, everything they show us from the space station is a deception. So while I'm looking for that, this is us creating a Earth better than NASA, just doing it in Photoshop, and we could do that. But this goes all the way forward. We make a better looking Earth than NASA. So we do it in Photoshop. Here's a shot from the space station. How come we don't see any continents down here? What would you guys say if you were globers?
It's just a bit over the sea.
It's over the sea, right? But we know it's a space station because we can see the solar panel. They always show us something like that.
Okay.
Or
they do.
Or with zero budget, we just take the picture from our front yard and hold the solar panel in the air. Okay, that's how easily we are fooled.
Yeah.
They're doing all sorts of stuff. This is woman. She's talking to kids. Watch right here. Is there a stuffed animal here? Oh, now there is, and now she's playing with it. All right. This is called augmented reality. They're playing with CGI objects, and she's either looking at a screen in the background or through virtual contacts, and she can manipulate these things in real time, and they fit them into the. That's how they make things float around. Sometimes they use all different techniques.
That's crazy.
Here is this is a famous experiment where he's squeezing water and it clings because he's in 0G.
Yeah.
But here's somebody doing the exact same experiment on a 0G plane. You can know what a 0G plane is.
Yeah.
So they do the same thing. And here this guy is bouncing up and down just like these guys are bouncing up and down. He's supposedly on the space station and these people are on a 0G plane. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This guy is on a 0G plane, but he's in front of a green screen. This is all green screen. These are both 0G planes. I mean, the amount of fakery is unreal.
So I feel like this leads into a natural question.
Go ahead.
For this, obviously, NASA and all the other, what would you call them?
Space
agencies. That's a lot of employees to keep up the lie.
Well, that's the first lie. The lie is that NASA has, 50 or 100,000 employees. They probably have 500 employees, and probably 3/4 of them have no idea because they're all compartmentalized, right? You don't know what's going on at the top. So it's unreal. Listen, on the app, if you go into the fake space program, or the NASA program, I have stuff about rockets that will blow your mind. These rockets that we're seeing are CGI, and they're a combination of CGI. They're a combination of the people that are seeing it in in person. They're 10 miles or farther away, but these rockets are actually blimps. They're rocket-assisted blimps, or they're miniatures, depending on the situation. But they're blimps sometimes. Sometimes they're a combination. Like this is a real picture of a rocket. Now we zoom in, and this is CGI, right? Where's the thrust of this thing? This thing is lifting up millions of pounds. This wouldn't just be billowing around like that. And then we watch this thing, and then something really weird happens. So I don't know if the people on the ground could see this or they're showing this just on TV, but the top half of the rocket disappears at one point because there's a glitch, right? You think like, what is that? I'm going to zoom in. There's an actual glitch in the CGI. That's one of many that have happened.
I have seen many glitches in different pieces of footage.
Yeah, and they'll say, well, that's a compression artifact. That's it's the excuses that they make are endless. Like these guys at the end of their speech, they're all hanging from wires. All of a sudden, they glitched out, and then they cut away. They cut away to mission control. These guys were flipping their hat around, talking, and then way in the distance, this guy floats by. So I zoomed way in. You could barely see him in the video, but I zoom in. He's hanging from a wire. You can see this belt and the wire.
It does look like it.
You can unwind that all the way to we never went to the moon, right? There's 2 grown men in diapers in here. This took off from the moon, a never tested before engine, and is connecting with the orbiter, right? Or is this a rejected piece of a cartoon from South Park because the animation isn't good enough? Right?
Yeah.
It's endless, the amount of fakery. Here's a guy going around a corner, and we slow it down. Watch, you can see through his arm.
Oh, no.
Okay, because there are no corners on a 0G plane. So he went there, and they faded him out. It goes on and on and on. There's so many things. Watch, this guy grabs his wire, right? Something goes wrong and he has to grab his wire. This guy flips over and then falls because he's not balanced properly on his wire. If you were in space and you went like this, you'd go flying backwards. You wouldn't pivot around an axis point. These people are hanging from wires.
I think there was also was it Red Bull or it might have been Elon who sent the flying car into space with the robot in it. And then I don't know if it's fake or I don't know if this bit was faked for a viral clip or not, but I'm pretty sure there's a frame. You go frame by frame by frame, and then there's a one frame where it's just a green screen, and then it cuts back to being in space.
Really?
Yeah. That is one thing, and then the Earth glitches, but the car doesn't glitch.
Yeah.
And then there's one shot where you have this beautiful curved Earth. You can see like the whole Earth, but they're not even up as high as the space station. And the space station never sees a full curved Earth.
Yeah.
And it's so ridiculous. Now think about this. Pretty cool he sent a Tesla into space, right? Well, there's Tesla dealerships all around the world, or all across the plane, sorry. Pretty cool he sent a Tesla into space, right? Well, there's Tesla dealerships all around the world. All around the world. All around the world.
Every single decision you've ever made in your life, there is an alternate reality where you went the other way. And the branches of that, so like you say yes to one thing, no to another, and there's another branch reality where you said yes and yes, no.
Well, there's Tesla dealerships all around the world, or all across the plane, sorry. All around the world, or all across the plane, all around the world, all around the world, all around the world, all around the world, all around the world. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
And that would be a pretty cool poster, don't you think, in a Tesla dealership? Hey, this car went to space.
Yeah.
There's not a single photo in any Tesla dealership of that. It didn't show up on the front of National Geographic, Omni, Time, Newsweek. The pictures are nowhere to be found because it's ridiculous. And Elon, in his press conference, said, watch this guy rotate. He's hanging from wires. You wouldn't rotate like that, okay? He said in his press conference, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, because we'd have better CGI. That's what he said in the press conference.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah. See him pulling on the wire there?
Basically saying that he would be able to fake it
better than what it actually was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So watch this guy. This guy screws up, and this guy quickly pulls a ball out of his pocket. Look over here. Look at the ball. Look at the ball. Watch. When she starts, like, her wires get out of control, she's freaking out. Watch. I'll show it again. And this guy quickly tells him, pull out the ball. Watch. Pull. Kick the ball. Look, there it is. Look over here, everybody. I'm spinning a ball. Right? Because she was out of control. This girl's freaking out. I remember when this happened. These happen all the time.
It's so weird.
It goes on and on.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys. Here's a question most people can't process. Right?
Okay.
So here's the equator. The equator is 24,000 miles around. It's moving. So you're moving at 1,000 miles an hour if you're sitting on the equator, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I was sitting at the North Pole, I wouldn't be moving 1,000 miles an hour. I'd just be turning around once a day. So I have no linear motion of 1,000 miles an hour. You with me?
Yeah.
So if I was on an airplane on a runway at the North Pole, I'm not moving sideways at all. I'm just basically sitting still. And I flew to Ecuador, and I wanted to land on a runway that was oriented north-south. So this runway is moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How do I land on it? Gravity? I mean, there's no answer because you can't land on it. All the FAA manuals say treat the Earth as a flat, non-rotating plane.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. The way when they say about it rotating, obviously, as it comes in. How is it to explain that?
Is it not? I'm trying to think. If this is real, I did degree in biology. I should have done fucking
Biology
physics.
is real science, by the way. Astronomy is pseudoscience. I took 4 years of astronomy in college.
Oh, really?
I was so good at it that the girls would come to my room. Astronomy did well for me in college. Right? I would teach them, and I knew I got straight A's. It was amazing. It's pseudoscience. I had 4 years of complete and total bullshit.
I was going to draw the comparison. If we allow for gravity and things like that, let's say that the Earth is contained and stuff like that. Similar to, if you're on a speeding train and you stand up in the lane and you jump, you're in the same spot, even though you're hurtling forward. Could you not apply that argument to the aeroplane because it's contained within the Earth? It's spinning with it.
How does it gain that extra 1,000 miles an hour of sideways speed when it's flying south? It's got to speed up sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. It's not. It's crazy. None of it makes any sense.
No,
none of it makes any sense at all.
So we're spinning.
Here's
fly the other
magnet.
way.
And then you can do this experiment yourself. Get a magnet, put it at the center of a map, and then try to push it east or west. And you see you have to keep the needle pointing towards the center. So east and west are circles. That does not prove the Earth is a globe or flat because it works the same on both.
Right.
Okay. It's only if you try to go dead reckon in one direction that every straight line is south. If I left New York heading east and I didn't turn my wheel at all, I'd be heading south. Because if I leave, I can't do it here. It's all backwards
inverted, yeah.
So if I leave New York and if I go in a straight line, look, that's going in a straight line. Now I'm going south. It's going south because the needle has to point to the center. Every straight line is south. And as I said before, you can't go from Santiago, Chile, across Antarctica. You can't go. This is the shortest path on a globe. And people say, well, you can't fly over Antarctica because of the treaty. All right, you just stay out here, go by these islands out here, and just come around. And that would be the shortest path. But that's not how airplanes go. They go all the way up here, all the way across and down. If they want to go to Western Australia, check this out. This is insane. They go all the way up here. They go all the way over to Europe and Dubai, and then they go down here. And they call that the Great Circle Route, right? That your main brain melts. Like, why don't they just go across here? Because this is really close on the globe. But in reality, this is what it looks like. So if I go to Western Australia, I go all the way up across the United States, Europe, Dubai, Western Australia. Bam, straight line. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane.
Does that mean that all the pilots are in on it?
So again, on the app, what about all the pilots and scientists? We have testimony from many pilots that say they know the Earth is flat. The Qantas pilots, the Australian pilots, they talk about it amongst themselves because they, in their lounges, because they all know. But they can't talk about it publicly because they will lose their jobs. We interviewed on the show Globebusters, which is a Sunday afternoon show here in America. It's anywhere. It's on YouTube. Where we interviewed a KLM pilot, and she was telling us how she knows the Earth is flat and all the reasons, how gyros work, everything. Did a 3-hour show with us. Next day, she was grounded and fired.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. Why is it they can't fly over Antarctica? What does the treaty? What's the reason behind it?
Because because of the treaty, they say it would cost millions of dollars and it's too dangerous and too cold. No. The answer is the reason you don't fly over Antarctica is because you can't fly over Antarctica.
Yeah.
It's not at the bottom of a ball. It's the outer rim. And so they don't want anyone to know. Here's a very telling thing. Guinness Book of World Record gave out the world's record for the first southern circumnavigation, if I could find it. So the world's record, excuse me, for southern circumnavigation, and where is it? Where'd it go? And it's the most ridiculous thing. It starts up in the north. It goes down, all the way down to Santiago. It goes to Antarctica. And then instead of continuing over Antarctica, they just turn around and come back. Now, here it is. So it goes up here. They go all the way down over here, these islands, Santiago. They go to Antarctica. Then they turn around. They come back. They go up through Brazil, up here, and back around. And they got the world record for circumnavigation. That doesn't look like southern circumnavigation. This is what it looks like on a flat Earth map. And they got the world record for southern circumnavigation. That's insane.
Yeah, that is baffling.
So I've got something which I want to say. Obviously, what's the next stage then? You know, if we've got all this evidence that the world is flat, what can us as a I'm
only one person. What can I do?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how do we? Is it you rise up together? You building an army.
One awake person amongst a million sleeping persons is way more powerful than no waking people. So when you wake up, you're like Neo. You unplug from the matrix. You stop feeding them your fear energy. And I'm on this mission. I had my own business. I manifested before I knew the earth was flat, my own business. I was doing super well, making high six figures. And I walked away from it all to be ridiculed talking about the flat earth. It's transmuted. I'm having the greatest time ever as I'm losing my voice. In the way the world is right now, if we don't wake up, we're never going to regain our freedom. And if we do, we're not going to keep it very long. Because if there's a reset that happens, which it looks like we're going into right now, have you guys looked into you want to talk about conspiracies? You looked into Deagle.com?
Into what, sorry?
No.
Deagle, DEAGEL.com. It's a site that predicts gross national product and population.
Okay.
And it came out, and we found it in 2017, and it showed America at 327 million people, and then the forecast for 2025 was 100 million people.
That's
really?
a lot.
And
of
Europe,
death.
I think, is like 65 million, going down to like 15 million in 2025. Right?
Well, that's concerning.
Yeah, super concerning.
Yeah.
And it's like, they want to depopulate the earth down to 500 million people. It's not like they have it written in stone. Oh, wait a minute. They do have it written in stone in Stonehenge, right? They have it written in 15 different languages. Never let the earth population rise over 500 million again. So that's a deep conspiracy. And we kind of like, how the hell are they going to depopulate the earth? There's almost 8 billion people here, down to 500 million. That's pretty drastic. But if you start looking at the real population numbers of the world, I think there's less than 2 billion people on this earth. I think it's way less than 2 billion.
What makes you say that?
Well, if you look at how the birth rate and the death rate and the number of people, and you go back and you don't even have to factor wars and all sorts of stuff. There's no way there's this many people on the earth. You fly across America, it's empty. It's empty. There's nothing in the middle.
There was a drastic, exponential rise in statistics, seemingly, wasn't there, over the last 150 years, which is odd.
Yeah, Bill Gates' favorite book is How to Lie with Statistics.
And also, my other thing was, what can the world look like? Do you have like a vision or like what you want to achieve? Obviously you're giving out all this valuable information to everyone, but do you have like a?
Yeah, I envision a world where you can leave your keys and your money in your car, and the money actually not even being a thing, and that you can see every person on the street. No one's afraid of anybody, and everybody's helping everybody. Communities grow their own food, and we get use of free energy technology that was here 150 years ago, 100 years ago. The world's fairs that I was interviewing Ruth about were lit up with free energy. There was no wires. They were lit up. She said it lit up the whole world. It was amazing. She lived in the dark before then, but that was a transfer from old technology to when they hijacked it from us. J.P. Morgan, one of the most evil people, on earth, he, made power. He cornered the copper market and shut down Tesla because you couldn't bill for free energy, right? They control us with electricity, with food, with fear, and imprisoning our minds in a heliocentric prison.
Amazing. No, I think that, like I said, that was
interesting.
just something that I wanted to. I think people need to hear as, why obviously the Flat Earth Society is so passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Flat
think
Earth
that's
Society is not. Don't the Flat Earth Society?
Yeah, no, that's
You
what I
do-
mean.
you
Yeah,
do-
sorry, no,
it's
but
like
I mean
saying the N
yeah,
word.
no, yeah, sorry,
okay,
sorry,
goodness.
sorry.
You did. Sorry, Jimmy.
That's what I meant. Just like
Yeah.
obviously, people like you that are talking about this sort of stuff. I think sometimes the actual truth of why they're trying to do it, and
Yeah.
it goes under the radar. because
Yeah,
it's-
absolutely.
Yeah,
and that actually reminds me of what I wanted to ask, because you alluded to it at the start. Do you want to take a moment just to clear up the difference between you guys and this government-funded front, as you said?
Yeah, Flat Earth Society, when Obama was in office, a half a dozen times in his speeches, him, John Kerry, they talk about the Flat Earth Society. They make jokes because that's programming us. Oh, Flat Earth Society. Let me look up Flat Earth. And people will actually Google Flat Earth Society. But if you Google Flat Earth, you get all of this propaganda.
Yeah.
And if you try to research Flat Earth right now, they've taken so many turds in the punch bowl, you can't find any fruit. There's hundreds of videos going up every week of nonsense, just stuff that will tire you out. And you're like, that's it. I'm not looking at Flat Earth. It's just a bunch of infighting. It's just a bunch of stupidness.
Yeah.
And you have these paid trolls out there. Like, your video is going to get trolled by people that just follow me around.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is, they'll make comments. Weiss is a scammer. Flat Earth is stupid. There's no proof of Flat Earth, but they'll never offer a proof of the globe. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you see these comments, just reply to them. Say, "Is that your best proof of the globe?" Because they have none. And then you'll see people that'll comment on everyone's. They'll respond to like 50 comments. Go to that person's channel, and I guarantee you, there's zero content on that channel. It's a bot.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we'll buy it. We want the algorithm.
Yeah.
We want it to get seen.
Yeah.
So
You're going to get seen, but just when someone says something that's I'm all for anti-flat Earth comments.
Yeah.
But bring
the
some
evidence.
receipts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bring some
100%.
friggin' receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, we can see too far, testable, measurable. NASA says the sun's 93 million miles away, right? No way to test it. No possible way. The way they figured out the sun was 93 million miles away is one day Venus, which is about the same size as Earth, transited the sun, and people from different coasts watch it, and it started and ended at different times. And they did some math, and they figured out how far away the sun was. What's wrong with that equation?
Is it where we go round? Is it where we go round the sun or something?
Well, here's what's wrong with the equation. Let's say you have $1 million in the bank, and I double it every day for 3 days. So tomorrow, how much money will you have?
2 million.
2, then 4.
And the next
then
day?
4.
And
And the next day?
8.
16. No, 4, 8. No, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm quadrupling.
I would be
whatever.
spending a lot.
So
of that money.
you're right. So you have $8 million in the bank. That's a fact,
Happy
right?
days, yeah.
Well, that's because we started out with an assumption, and that assumption is Venus is the same size as Earth. They start out with an assumption. They do an incredible calculation, and that's wrong. They're
start
just
out with an
making an assumption. My assumption, Venus is the size of a basketball, and
It's
you can't
just
prove
as
me
right
wrong.
as them. Yeah.
So, you know how the Earth is this big giant ball, and the sun is a big giant ball, and the Earth is a marble next to it, right?
Yeah.
So if I brought the sun, if we're out in the middle of the ocean on a tiny little island, and the sun was a mile over our head, it would fill the entire sky, right? Giant ball. It just that's all we would see. It would be the entire sky. So now we move it 93 million miles away, and it reduces to the size of a coin held at arm's length, right? So it reduced because of distance.
Yep.
It reduced in size from the entire sky to this small little circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I made it twice as far, how much smaller would this get?
Half the sun.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
If I made it 8 times farther, 8, could you see it?
It'd be tiny.
Probably be a speck.
It would. Well, we can actually prove that its angular size would be smaller than your eye can resolve. That's something
Right,
that we
yeah,
can
yeah.
prove scientifically. So if you do the math, so remember that distance, 8 times farther. Now they tell us when we look up on a clear night, we see billions of stars, and they're some of them are like our sun, some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, and we're seeing them with our naked eye. Do you know that the closest star, the next closest star, Alpha Centauri, The next closest star, which is all the other stars are magnitudes farther than that, but the next closest star is 40,000 times farther than the distant sun that I just described that we couldn't see. The next closest star is 40,000 times farther. Okay? That's insanity. The closest star, ready for this, is 25 trillion miles away. How big is a trillion? What is a trillion? People are like, oh, I heard a billion, trillion. What's the difference? Huge difference.
Yeah,
how long is 1 trillion seconds?
It's like, is it 1,000
Take a
billion,
guess.
a trillion, or
How long is
how
a
many
trillion seconds?
years?
Just take a guess. If you guess it within a
1,000
day,
years?
I'll
within
give
a
you
day.
a Bitcoin.
All right, 10,562 days.
I'll say like years. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
it's good.
for 100 years.
All right, it's 31,000 years.
Okay, yeah.
1 trillion seconds
Yeah.
is 31,000 years. The closest star is 25 trillion miles away, and the USA is in debt $76 trillion. Okay, this is all made up garbage, nonsense, control, mind fuckery.
Are we seeing that with the stars? That what we're seeing is the light, aren't we? That's traveling. So it's only so like some of the stars could be
Supposedly.
yeah. Some of the stars could be gone. They could be dead, obsolete. But you're still going to get that light travel, the same as you get the 8.5 minutes from the sun.
Cool story, bro.
She fell for the same hole I did.
That's what I told her.
So this is what we can see on a nice, in the middle of the desert. We see these stars, but from the moon, we see nothing. What we're seeing is stars within the Earth system, not the solar system, the Earth system. We've sent balloons up with high-def cameras looking up. And when you think the higher they get, the brighter, the better the stars are going to be because it gets clearer and clearer. But by the time we get to 50, 80,000 feet, there's no stars. They're all gone.
Why do you think that if it is constructed of some sort, why do you think they would put it there? Because it would make
Why were the stars put there?
like what? Like if they're not sort of what?
I think
if you want to make it simple.
My personal opinion is stars are souls. Okay. And that there's everything's energetic. There's wandering stars. They're all the astrology. I used to laugh at astrology. How's the position of Jupiter or the retrograde of Mars going to affect my life? It's a rock, millions and millions of miles away. It can't even tug on our moon with its gravity. So how's it going to affect me? The truth is it's an energetic source right here within our world. And we're connected to all of this stuff. This is all quantumly connected. And these things are the projectors of our lives. I don't have the right words for it, but, these things do make a difference. Millionaires, I forget the saying, but billionaires have astrologers. They all the stuff that these, the people that rule the world, they all do it based on astrology. Everything they do is based on numbers and times and, planetary positions. They love their sacred dates and whatnot because they're paying attention to this system. And whether people believe in astrology or not, or the power of your thoughts, it doesn't matter. They believe it. They know it works and they use it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
That's cool.
Fascinating. So sorry, go on.
Don't let your mind be controlled with cartoons.
That's it.
Okay?
There we go.
They control our mind with cartoons.
Yeah. CG masters. I have one more question.
Shoot.
And it goes back to the ice wall and what's beyond it. If there are these lands beyond it and stuff, the people putting these treaties in place, have they? Obviously, it's only, have they been beyond the wall? Are they from beyond the wall?
Well, you know what? On election day, the last election, John Kerry went to Antarctica on election day. So what was he doing? Was he going down there to get his marching orders? I don't know. Maybe the real rulers are living out in Antarctica in paradise. I don't know, but there's a lot of creepy stuff that goes on in Antarctica.
Yeah, I don't want to blur any lines or anything, but I'm pretty sure Hitler sent a lot of teams out to Antarctica.
Well, Hitler, right? They talked about him having a base out there and all sorts of stuff. Antarctica, there's maps of Antarctica when it had no ice. So maybe that was before the shift of the, maybe at a time, and maybe not that long ago. But Hitler knew what's going on. The elite, they know what's going on. They're just not telling us.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man.
It is.
All right.
It is.
It's amazing, though.
Scale from 1 to 10. Don't be afraid.
Okay. Fuck. There is some.
But by the way,
stuff.
if anyone says anything less than a 5, you have to give one reason that you live on a globe.
Do I have to start?
Yeah.
Oh God. This is annoying because my head is screaming.
It's not used to thinking because we're just taught to memorize and regurgitate.
Yeah. I see my head is screaming 4, which is an increase of 3, but it's under 5, which means I have to give a reason.
What's your proof of the ball?
The fact that I'm struggling, I think, says a lot. I mean, because it...
You know what happens at the end of these shows? People go, that was a lot of information, Dave, and you make a lot of good points, but I still think we live on a ball. And I'm like, can you give me one proof? They're like, well, no, but I still believe it. But I still believe it. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
Yeah.
Belief is easy. It takes no effort. Yeah. Knowing takes balls.
Yeah.
Also, as well, my thing is like, what's the best thing to believe in? Like, what's going to give you the best gift of life?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
But what I mean is, like, obviously, you're saying that when I asked you about your goals and stuff, they were so from the heart, and saying that you wanted about reusable energy, and you would like to leave your wallet there. And like I say, if 10 is that, then then that's where
the world you want to be in.
That's the world that I want to be in. And obviously, if you don't believe in that world, you're never going to get there. So, like I say, I'm not going to say that I'm a 10, but I'm definitely, I would push up.
And you were a 0.
Yeah, I know. I was a 0, but like I say, it's knowledge, isn't it? Once you get the knowledge, and it's like, when I used to speak about believing in Jesus or not believing in Jesus, it's like, what's the best world? If you don't believe, you die, and that's it. It's the end of the world. Yeah. If you do believe, you go to heaven. That's a much better.
A lot of people say, hey, you got into this because you want to feel special. Well, it's nice to feel special, but that's not why I got into this. I got into this because I wanted to know the truth, and it wasn't easy. When I started this 5-6 years ago, the ridicule was unbelievable. But now I reached out to people like you guys, and you're like, I'll have you on, because people are waking up super fast, and that's why they're pushing this agenda super fast. Okay, there's a depopulation event that's coming, and I think it has something to do with something that rhymes with vaccine.
Oh goodness! Oh my goodness!
Got to follow the fish.
I'll tell you. I mean, like I say,
Wow.
Let's say we look into all these conspiracies and stuff.
Yeah.
And it all adds up, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a
new world order. Illuminati.
I'm gonna just fucking go in. I'm gonna say an 8.
You're an 8.
Yeah, man. I'm willing to look into this shit. I'm gonna go a bit further and.
Hey. If you try to look out on your own, you're gonna get tired. You're gonna find so much garbage. If you Google, hey, top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe, you're gonna get the most ridiculous videos, but there's tons of them by
we got
mainstream.
The app.
But in the app, under the debunking the debunkers, we have all of those videos, and we show you how they're lying. We're not saying, hey, they're lying. We show you how they're deceiving you.
Yeah.
How they're deceiving you. Like, well, sunsets couldn't happen. I showed you how sunsets happen. Right? They're saying boats over the horizon. Boats don't go over the horizon. It's an optical effect. Can I show you the boats over the horizon yet? Did we do that?
I don't think we know. We just did the sun over the horizon.
Look, no boat here. No boat, right? No boat. I'm zooming in, but all of a sudden, right there's a boat.
There's a boat.
I'm going to zoom all the way in on this boat. You're going to see the whole hull. And then I'm going to zoom out, and that's equivalent to the boat going away. So now this boat's going away, and watch, it's going to disappear from the bottom up. Half the hull is gone. It goes all the way up to the window, and it buries the boat, and then it disappears. And a glober would say, it's gone over the horizon, but it really hasn't.
But it's still there because you zoomed in.
It's just an optical effect. Like, for example, if I walked around this hallway, right? this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I walked around that hallway, and you were standing right here, and I gave you a super zoom telescope.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Could
not
you
gonna
zoom in on me?
Yeah, you can't zoom in.
You couldn't, right? Here, I flipped the hallway over. I'm over that hump. You zoom in, you're just going to zoom in on the floor here. And this is a physical horizon, but it's not a physical horizon we're seeing. We don't see a physical horizon. We see just the merging of the sky and the sea. And then if you have a super zoom camera, you can open that space and see.
I'm gonna have to invest
Best.
in a super zoom camera. I think.
Well, there's the Nikon P900.
Yeah.
Right, is the older one. The P1000 is a massive big one, but the P900, couple $100. It's got an 83 times zoom. You can zoom in and see amazing things.
So if I buy that for a couple $100 and I zoom in and I don't get the same thing, you owe me a Bitcoin. Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's the thing,
because that is proof.
Can you guys see my house right now?
No.
That must be because of Earth curvature. You owe me a Bitcoin. when you can't see something, could be many reasons.
Yeah.
When you can see something, well, the only explanation they have is mirage, and that's nonsense.
Yeah.
As I showed you with the laser beams, we've done mirror flashes. Just like Mount Canigou, its light can't come to you, but we've done from the beach we'll flash a mirror with the sun, and then somebody far away can see that flash because that flash has enough power to push through the thickness of the soup.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
What are your Lars? What are you saying?
Yeah, what are your thoughts? you just
absorbing it in.
You hit me for 6 with the information. My brain is completely fucked. I can't say that I believe. I'd go maximum 1.
Really? Okay.
Well, so what's your number one proof we live on a ball?
I can't say it's proof, though. That's the thing.
What is it?
I have no information to give you that's going to go, actually, John, I'm going to pack this flat earth shit in. I'm going to go back to being a global.
What would make you think you live on a ball? One reason.
Cooperation you would need to have all of these space agencies, which I think there's over 70 of them.
Well, there's not. There's only a couple, and they're all one. This is the difference between Russia and America is no difference. They're on the same team.
There's a massive difference between Israel and Iran, and they both claim at least to have space agencies, and they're two countries that let's just say don't like each other. So for those to cooperate on this sort of scale is unprecedented. I would say, I get your point that you're saying. There's only 2. There's America and Russia. I think is the answer.
They're all in on it together. There are some rogue states, like for example, Gaddafi. He was breaking the rules, and he knew the Earth was flat, and he discovered primary water, and he was going to destroy the ruling, their ability to rule, because he was going to expose it all. In the 1970s, he made a speech at the United Nations, angry speech, and he's speaking Libyan or whatever the language is, and he looked really angry, and they showed it on the news. And I remember as a kid going, "Oh man, that guy, they're like he's going to destroy the world." But when you translate his speech, he was saying that the United Nations and the New World Order was going to take over the earth, and they're going to use a virus to depopulate the world and rule the world. That's what he was saying in the 1970s. They took him out. He built the largest aquifer project in world history. He found primary water underneath the desert. And for 40 years, he was building huge pipelines buried in the desert, distributing water all across Africa, giving all families, you want to have an organic farm? Here's land, water, soil, seeds, cattle, everything. Organic farms were popping up everywhere. And when he finished it, Hillary Clinton and the United Nations sent bombs in there, and they blew it up with depleted uranium, and then they killed him. Okay? So all of this thing there is cooperation, and then there are rogue states, and then they get Gaddafi'd, So again, your proof of the globe is you can't believe in a conspiracy this big.
No. We're talking like this. If you put 9/11 against this, 9/11 is like literally
9/11 was nothing.
Drop of like a grain of sand.
Agreed.
And for me, it's like I said, you have like completely fried me with the amount of information this over these 2 hours. But
take some time and digest it.
But the kind of I don't even think humans have the capacity to actually cooperate on this sort of scale.
Well,
personally.
maybe they're not humans.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay, pull the alien card.
Maybe they're all aliens.
There we go.
All right, guys. Drink some water.
Follow the fish.
Arguing on.
Oh yeah, what's your thoughts, Dan?
I've gone from. I was a 2. Tell you what, your information has been amazing.
Yeah,
it's all backed up. It's it'd be nice. I'm not intelligent enough to know about all this. I know that, but there's lots of science stuff I don't understand, and I'm sure you've come up against these other academics as well and sort of argued the point. But based on your presentation, I'm definitely up. I think I haven't really got a good enough reason to go against it, so I'm going to kind of sit on a 5. But again, the one thing that got me prior to this, it's not really about flat Earth, but it was the unidentified with the Tic Tac, and it's if they're hiding something. If there's an alien thing, and that was kind of proof. I watched that, and that's so if they've got the capability to hide 1 or 2 things, we saw those pictures with if they're faking 1 or 2 things, then it opens everything up.
Yeah,
and it's why when I see bits of evidence like that with the odd bits of faking, and the picture you showed with the hill. And then the other picture with Mars, I'm if they do that, and that's legit, now you've lost me. Now you've
Greenland.
Now I'm questioning everything. Yeah. So it's there's definitely cause for concern.
So there's this book called 16 Emergency Landings Prove Flat Earth, and it shows where by the way, all international and long distance flight routes are run by NASA. Okay, they're in charge of all of these routes because they have to, fake what they're doing. So this one shows that all of these emergency landings landed in really bizarre places that make no sense on a globe. For example, here's a flight from Taiwan to Los Angeles, and it's flying out here, and here's the Hawaiian Islands, and right about here there was an emergency. They could have gone back. They could have landed here. They could have continued over. But instead, they went all the way up to Alaska. Okay? But if you look at that on a flat Earth map, here it is. Bam, emergency, Alaska. I have Alaska in the wrong spot, but Alaska's right here. So it's a straight line. That's the same flight route. Hawaii's out here. This is the route that they take.
And banking in Alaska makes that make sense.
Yeah. And it's a straight line. Airplane, not air globe. Sea level, not sea curve.
Okay. The thing about this, I'm going to buy or go off on an old telescope. That does interest me because it's...
You're better off buying the P900. It's better than a friggin' telescope.
Yeah.
Nikon P900. They're because there's a model ahead of it. They've gone way down in price. They're a few $100, and it's a very good camera. Especially if you see a pretty girl a mile down the beach, right in.
Because if it, like I say, it should all be mathematics, and when you get the curvature and the mathematics, once you prove that maths is wrong, then then it's a can of worms. You're everything's wrong. So it's interesting.
Everything's wrong. Here's lights on a flat floor. Here's lights on a flat water. If you got a piece of plastic or metal and shiny, and you put a light on it and get the look at it so you can see this long light, then just bend it a little bit. Just bend it a little bit, and bam, it'll turn into a point light. It'll no longer be a streak. Flat water, flat line, flat floor, flat line, flat Earth.
Interesting.
There we go. Well, I imagine that's got a lot of viewers and listeners asking many questions.
Far away. Let's get this. Get this high.
Yeah. So I'm sure you'll leave them all in the comments. I'd love to know.
And by the way, listen, if someone says, if you just make an insult or whatever, I'm not going to respond. I'll try to go into comments and respond.
Educate.
Amazing.
There's tons of there's answers for all of this, and because by the way, we don't know everything, right? We don't. There's so much we don't know, but at least we know that we don't know. People that think they live on a spinning ball don't know anything.
Yeah.
What do we call them? Globers.
Call them Globers. Yeah,
James
no
is
offense.
in.
Yeah, I'll be
James is
like, fuck off, you Glober.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, so David's going to be in the comments as well. We'll ignore all the trolls. We get them as well.
No, don't worry, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But yeah, no, David, listen, regardless of whether we've been convinced or not, we really appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Loved it.
And yeah, I've had a great time. I'd
Guys,
almost say I've had a ball.
So the app, this is the app. I made this app. It costs $2.99 US. So whatever that is in your fake dollars, our fake dollars.
Oh, cheap.
You're buying me a half of warm beer in a bar surrounded by plexiglass where I can't talk to anybody. So the app will be the fastest way. And I was like, oh, I don't pay for apps. Go look in the App Store, read the reviews. Besides the person that says, my phone from 2001 doesn't work. Yeah, you need Android 8.0 or higher and our iPhone 6 or better.
Yeah.
And then the app works. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And just take the daily app challenge. Just watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's by Blue Water Bay. This is the icon. There's a free version by some Flat Earth Society trolls that are trying to control your mind. So if you get that, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks. It's not my app.
That's not yours.
And what's your YouTube?
My YouTube is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, just DITRH. There I have lots of short videos. I have a couple interviews on there, but most of my videos are under 5 minutes, most of them. And just short, to the point stuff. You start watching those, you're done. The globe is over. You are no longer a glober. You'll be a flat tard.
Fantastic. Well, David, thank you again. And hopefully we'll speak again in the future. Maybe at a Flat Earth convention. Who knows? We'll come over to America and say hi when we're allowed to fly. Absolutely loved it. Funny. One last question. What's your go-to crypto? My go-to crypto, besides Bitcoin, one that I really like is Monero. Monero. Okay, cool. Monero, I know Monero. Write this down. I'm telling you today to buy $1,000 worth of Monero. Okay. Right? That'll buy you now it'll only buy you 4. Last week it would have bought you 10. Yeah. No, it's a decent coin, to be fair. And I say my prediction is it's going to be a minimum of 10x that this year. A minimum. Okay. It could be 100x. Nice. Mate, I'll even buy that. I'll get it on, and then when you next come back on at some point, we'll compare Monero. We'll have a compare. Is Monero the one that you said all the underground, like the... it's probably changing now, but it's favourable in the dark web. Another one you might want to look into is Axion, AXION. Now, that's a very, very inexpensive. You can buy hundreds of thousands of them for very cheap. Yep. But more risky. And then the other one is Pirate Chain, ARRR. Okay. Like ARRR. Right? I think it's like 20 some odd cents right now. Yeah. I got in at 3 cents. Nice. But I think it's going to go up massively higher. Okay. But again, you might lose every penny. Nah, of course, yeah. It's all the risk. This is the risk. Thank you very much. There we go. A little bit of crypto there as well. Right. Thank you, David. Yeah, no problem. Have a great day. See you, everybody. See you, man. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.